Welcome back to another Naval News Update. We have a lot going on today, so I'm going to just get right into it. We have multiple sources, including the Navy's own press office, talking about all these different operations we have going on right now. U.S. Naval Institute has multiple articles we'll be referencing today, so credit to those authors, Dezirahan Madazir. I'm getting better at his name, and Mallory Shelbourne. Thank you, Mallory, for having an easy name for me to say. The entire staff over at navalnews.com, and I got a brand new source. He does not want to be credited, so I'm just going to call him Anon from now on. But he sent me some very interesting things that I think you will like, and some things that I'll never make public. But let's start in Japan. So we talked last time about the PLAN, that's the Chinese Navy, and the Russian Navy had multiple fleets deployed in the vicinity of Japan. I speculated that they might detach one of or more of those to the middle of the Pacific to watch our rim pack exercises go on. Turns out that did not happen. They continue to circle Japan in a clockwise-like manner. Two fleets are at sea right now being monitored by the Japanese Maritime Force. And the third fleet, that was made up of mostly patrol craft, does not have an update. So maybe they returned to port. There was 9 of them. They're not designed to stay at sea for long periods of time, but can stay at sea for, a couple weeks, which means they could still be deployed, is my point. And they had a supply ship with them. But we do know that the Russians and the Chinese continue to patrol in this clockwise fashion around Japan. Very interesting. Here we have this is the latest update for the Russian ASW fleet. Remember, she was conducting ASW operations and missile drills in the northern part of the Philippine Sea. Well, she has gone back through the Tsushima Strait and is moving up into the Sea of Japan right now, as of the 21st. All right, but let's talk about the American Navy. Holy smokes, have we got a lot of things going on right now. Nearly half of our carriers are at sea right now. I have not seen this level of operation in decades. I don't know the last time we had this many carrier fleets, carrier strike groups, amphibious ready groups, all at sea at the same time. It's been a long time. So we're going to start over in the Pacific. We're looking at the Ronald Reagan. She has just wrapped up an operation with the Indo-Pacific forces, including Australia and a lot of people down there. I believe it was called Valiant Shield. It's a biannual exercise every 2 years, and they just wrapped that up. She's going to be heading to Guam. She might be there at the time of this recording, but she'll be pulling in there, giving those sailors some good rest and restore, and then back to sea for them. Abraham Lincoln is on her scheduled deployment right now, currently in the Philippine Sea. USS Tripoli, LHA-7's up there. The American Amphibious Ready Group is in Japan right now, getting ready for the next operation, which might include RIMPAC 2022. I don't know if the American ARG is going to take part in that, but she's in position where she could if she wants to. Remember, that starts in a couple days. Harry S. Truman is over there in the Mediterranean. She's been there since the beginning of her deployment. I believe she started patrolling back in February, so she probably deployed in January, but she was initially meant to go to the Persian Gulf, but because of all the tensions rising in Europe, she was ordered to stay in the Med. She actually went under NATO command at least once, so that's a good show to our NATO-friendly forces over there that we're willing to put our carriers under your command and work with you and strengthen those ties. And she continues that patrol. She is scheduled to get a port visit in France. Don't know exactly when that's going to be, but she continues to operate in the Mediterranean in general. Kearsarge Amphibious Ready Group is coming out of the Baltic Sea after doing Baltops 22, which is a huge, for the area, NATO exercise that included Sweden and Finnish troops, Marines, airplanes, ships. So we're working with them as if they're already a part of NATO, even though that's not a fait accompli. She's headed back into the Atlantic, probably coming home. That's what I would expect Kearsarge to do at this point, is pull in somewhere on the East Coast. George H.W. Bush is at sea, continuing her workup. This is one of our newest carriers, and she's out there just shaking things out. Nimitz, just over in the Pacific, just wrapped up a big exercise for herself down around San Diego. She's currently headed back up to Washington State. That's the public information anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if she took part in RIMPAC since she's already in the vicinity, but since she just did wrap up an exercise herself or some sort of evolution, maybe not. But we know that the USS Essex and Boxers, those LHDs, are in position now to support the rim pack. And that is everything we have on the American side, surface fleets deployed. It's a lot. We have a lot of firepower at sea right now. Imagine if we were in an active conflict, this is the level of activity I would expect to see at sea right now. All right, so let's move on to Congress a little bit. We need to backtrack what we said last week. Originally, Congress was going to propose to get rid of all the LCSs, and then they wanted to save 5, and then they backtrack on that and said, we're not going to pay to keep LCS alive, the Freedom class anyway, and go ahead and decommission all of them. Well, they've backtracked again, this back and forth in Congress, and the price tag comes in at $37 billion is being added to the defense budget, in part to save 5 LCSs, keep them operational, and the FA-18 Growlers you see here, which the Navy wanted to move to the reserves or decommission, just get them out of the active duty service. And Congress was like, no, they're too vital. Here's some money to keep them going. And keep in mind, this is just for 1 year, and this isn't the total amount. The total, defense budget is over $700 billion. They're just adding $37 billion to the top of this. There's a nice little round red cherry on top of that, defensive cake, right? But look at this, $2.5 billion is in fuel expense for just 1 year. Just adding an extra $2.5 billion to keep our planes and ships and tanks and trucks, everything going. Keep in mind, this is military-wide, not just the Navy. But $2.5 billion buys 2 Arleigh Burke destroyers. So for the gas bill for 1 year, just because of the increase in gas prices, is costing us as much as it would cost to build 2 very capable destroyers. So whenever gas prices go up, it affects a lot more than just us at home. Whenever we go to the gas pump, it's expensive and we can't afford it. I haven't driven in weeks because of it. Whenever we go to the grocery store and buy food, all the food prices are up for supply chain reasons and gas cost reasons. But think of the defensive impact that this has on us. We're spending so much more money on gas now than we had budgeted because of the increase in gas prices. And what are some of the things that led to that? Well, some of it seems to be self-inflicted, right? I'm not going to get into any more of that. Just know that this is the real expense of high oil prices, is it hurts our ability to defend ourselves, or makes it more expensive to defend ourselves. $2.5 billion in gas, additional to the budgeted gas. All right, we have $1.7 billion to facility renovations. I think this is a great idea. I'm always down for improving our bases. Our enlisted men especially live in squalor. A lot of times it's, bunk room housing if they're lucky. I started my career in open bay, which means you just have bunks and lockers and a bunch of people with you, no walls essentially. And I hope that they're getting away from that by now. There is $1.4 billion in bonuses and financial support. And I want to be clear here. This is for the sailors and the officers, active duty. This is not for contractors, the bonuses. So good for them. We are getting a 3rd Arleigh Burke. We could have got 3 more, but we had to spend 2 for gas. And we're going to get a $1.2 billion Arleigh Burke. So we're going to build 3 Arleigh Burkes in fiscal year 2023. Lay a 3rd keel down. We are going to buy 8 new FA-18 planes. It did not say if they were the Growler variety or not, just FA-18s. And we're going to give $550 million to Ukraine to support their war effort over there. So that does not add up to $37 billion, but that's where they told us the money was going. The difference between what we see here on the screen and the total price tag is unknown. I have no idea. All right, so who proposed this bill? Jared Golden from Maine is he has the amendment named after him, and it was seconded by Elaine Loria from Virginia, and it did pass the House Appropriations Committee with a vote of 42 to 17. That shows you how many people are on these committees. It's quite a few, which is good. That's a good thing. Now, I've said a lot of good things about Miss Loria. She's a retired naval officer. It's going on to serve in Congress. Nothing but respect for her. But I think this is a mistake. We should have not included saving the LCSs in this budget. Not that that would have made a big difference financially. We just need to get past maintaining and supporting these LCSs and then take the crews, the people that are on those LCSs, and let's move them on to ships that are more capable, So we can save money and manpower if we did not continue to have the LCS program running, okay? But these are the people that proposed it, first and second, named on the bill, and then it was passed by an overwhelming majority, you have to admit. But that's how they do things. This is called the NDAA. This is National Defense something act. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, they put all the defense spending bills into one bill called the NDAA, and then you vote it up or down. And then if you vote it down, if you're one of these, 17 that did not vote for it, well, then you don't support the United States military, apparently, when in reality, there's a lot of nuance that is not exposed in the vote. So a lot of people, to protect their career, just vote for it anyway, Anyway, let's talk about hypersonic defense. This is really a problem with us, and I'm going to limit how much I'm telling you about this intentionally, but this is absolutely alarming. We do not have, at the time of this recording, a hypersonic defense. We have a defensive plan, we have a program, we have research and development, we have all those things. What we don't have is a finished freaking product. And I've suspected this for years, but I finally got confirmation on this, so I'll be sharing this with you today. All right, first, what is C2BMC? So this is Command and Control for Ballistic Missile Coordination, or C2BMC. And what it does is, the idea is to link multiple sensors, whether they're on board a ship or land base or space base, into one network so that they can collectively observe, large areas, if not the entire world, and look for ballistic missile and hypersonic missile launches. That's the goal of C2BMC. We were supposed to have that in 2019. And while we do have a version 8.0 of Aegis or 9.0 of Aegis, we don't have the full software kit that connects these Aegis defensive networks together. And that's been delayed now for 3 years. So even if we have the hardware, which in one case we do, we don't have the software to take a detection on one side of the globe and engage it with a missile on the other side of the globe. But that is the goal. That's where we're headed. We're not there yet. Okay, AWS, that's the Aegis weapon system. That's really the networks that are going to be connected together by the C2BMC. That project is in baseline 9 right now. Baseline 10 is coming. But it's been in development for years and it's behind. We were supposed to have the new C2BMC, like I said, 3 years ago, and what doesn't have it is the AWS that you see here on the screen. So let's talk about missiles. The SM-3, whether it's variant 1 or 2, Alpha Bravo, those are capable of ballistic missile intercepts. But we have got enormous supply chain issues where of the 30, I think it was 33 of the SM-3-2A that we were supposed to get this year, 2022, we've only gotten 7 of those. We've only gotten 7 out of the, 23. We got 23 out of the 33. But for the SM-3-1A, which are considered operational now, instead of the 7 we had ordered for the entire year, 7 missiles, we've only gotten 3. We're going to get 3 of those missiles this year. And one of the reasons is the parts that we're getting aren't up to standard. Like they're failing testing, they're failing QA, and then other supply chain related issues that they did not go into, right? But look at the number of missiles we're adding to the inventory. And keep in mind, some of these are expended in testing, or in war games, like we're about to do this RIMPAC. We're getting, in one case, 23 missiles, and in the other case, only 3 missiles for an entire year. You can spend 3 missiles in a single engagement, So it's not a lot. I think inventory is going to be a real issue, is my point. And then finally, GMD. This is the ground-based mid-course. This shoots down ballistic missiles in its mid-course of its flight, and its ground-based program. Anyway, this program is like 4 years delayed, and this one has some real issues with vendors. So whenever these contracts are made, given to, a major military industry complex company, whether it's General Electric or Raytheon, it doesn't matter who that is, but those companies go and they subcontract a lot of work and a lot of parts out to other companies that are smaller. And the big thing that's held up the ground-based mid-course defense is the sub-vendors are providing very low quality parts that after they're purchased and installed and tested, they fail. So this one's more of a hardware issue than it is a software issue, like we're seeing with the Aegis weapon systems. So this program continues to be delayed. It was supposed to come online in 2018. And while there is some hardware, some of these facilities do exist, there is a lot of problems with getting them operational. They're not even into the initial production phase or production phases like we see with the sea-based ones, which are the standard missiles, SM-3s, SM-6s. These are sea-based missiles here, and this is ground-based. So while we do have the hardware kit for ballistic missile intercept, we don't have the right software to connect all of our sensors. And we're years and years behind where we're supposed to be because of this. Bringing the GMDs online would really help, but without the C2BMC, all of these are acting as independent entities, and that's a real problem. All right, so going forward, here's what's happening today. The Glide Phase Interceptor budget has been increased to $62 million for fiscal year 2023, I guess, would be next fiscal year. And Raytheon is going to develop this interceptor. They're already developing it. This is additional money that they're getting for next year with the goal of having a working prototype that they can go into production with by 2028. So this is going to be a missile that's specifically designed to shoot down maneuverable hypersonic weapons. Now, maneuverable hypersonic weapons have already been demonstrated by Russia, and in the case of the DF-21 China as well, which is that anti-carrier missile that they have. The point is, those hypersonic missiles can maneuver in flight, which makes them extremely difficult to shoot down. This missile is going to be designed to do just that. It's going to have that additional capability. But look at the time frame. We're thinking 2028, and that's being pretty optimistic to have an operational missile by then. And then the last part of this puzzle, the part of that C2 ballistic missile defense, is going to be the hypersonic ballistic tracking space sensor, the HBTSS. It's going to be a network of satellites around the globe, a lot like GPS satellites, but with the specific intent of detecting ballistic and hypersonic missile launches using infrared sensors and other means. Our goal is to have 2 of these satellites in orbit by next year so that we can use them for testing and developing the program. So we're still in the very beginning stages of being able to defend against this new generation of missiles that are already out there. And I have a lot more to say about this. I'm going through all the information that I'm getting right now, and it's really incredible how far behind we are on being able to defend ourselves against this emerging new missile threat. All right, so that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching today. Our Navy is doing great things all over the world right now, but we still have a long ways to go before we can call this world a little more secure with the new hypersonic weapon threat. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.